No Sudden Move is the latest film from acclaimed director Steven Soderbergh, yet again being an HBO Max original. Just like my last review, I had absolutely no idea this movie was being released. I saw a review uploaded for it when randomly checking my inbox on YouTube, and almost immediately went to check it out on HBO Max. The short description I read while looking the movie up was enough to sell it on me almost instantaneously. An almost return-to-form type movie for Soderbergh with this great of a cast, how could I pass up the opportunity? Now, I would like to mention before we talk about this movie is how all over the place Steven Soderbergh can really be. Even if his name causes some form of excitement for most film fans, his most recent work has been extremely inconsistent to say the least. In fact, his entire career has been wildly inconsistent. Ocean's 11 is one of, if not the greatest heist film of all time, and deserves to be regarded as masterclass cinema. No one can take that away from the man. However, the rest of his work ranges from really great to just completely forgettable and sloppy. For every Aaron Brockovich, there's a Logan Lucky. For every The Informant, there's an Unsane. Not to say that I hate any of those movies, but he has proven time and time again that for every great movie we're going to get out of him, a mediocre one is bound to follow. So where does that leave No Sudden Move? After getting lost in the shuffle of 2020, Let Them All Talk, Soderbergh's previous project, flew completely under the radar. Even if the people who saw it at all seemed to enjoy it, the movie wasn't interesting enough to gain any real traction. Even I skipped out on it purely because of how uninteresting it seemed. That was not the case with No Sudden Move, luckily. Even if the movie is flawed, something you cannot say about it is that it's uninteresting. No Sudden Move has your complete attention for pretty much the first half of this movie. From the immaculate soundtrack, masterful camera work, and fast-paced and stylish editing, it's all entertaining all the time. There is never a dull moment or something that is hung onto too long. The movie moves at a very brisk pace, for the most part, and it made it a breeze to get through. Even if the script and story had elements to it that really didn't work, it almost didn't matter at times because of how fun and wildly entertaining the movie was. A lot of credit has to go to Steven Soderbergh for crafting the overall look and feel of the film. Every creative decision feels purposeful and nothing feels wasted. Every creative camera move or flashy sequence or usage of the score feels right. He knocked the visual part of this movie completely out of the park and then some. There was never a moment where I found myself picking apart the cinematography or set design or anything having to do with the visual side of this film. The movie is firing on absolutely all cylinders in that regard. It also has to be mentioned how truly great this cast is. Everyone from Benicio del Toro, Kieran Culkin, who I always love to see pop up, John Hamm, Julia Fox, David Harbour, Don Cheadle, goddamn Brendan Fraser. Every single person who I just mentioned had given an absolutely fantastic performance and really made the movie what it was. This is a rare occurrence that this cast never feels overstuffed with stars. Sometimes you can run into a problem where movies are casted purely out of name value and not the chemistry with the actors and the director, or even amongst themselves. Every once in a while, you get a cast that is lined up with stars that is just perfect and is a perfect fit. And that's what happened here. Not a single time was I thinking to myself, oh, this person doesn't belong, or maybe it's just a little too much with who eventually ends up showing up in the movie. It's actually one of the movie's strengths. The cast just works so well together, and the choices they made seem kind of odd and out of nowhere, like Brendan Fraser and Kieran Culkin, but they work so well. And the heavy hitters like John Hamm and especially Don Cheadle, he was once again absolutely terrific in this movie. I mean, that guy really can do no wrong. Don Cheadle is phenomenal in this film. They don't disappoint. If I'm being completely honest, I just had a blast with No Sudden Move, for the most part. It was extremely refreshing to have a very twisty crime thriller that kept you guessing the entire time. There was sharp dialogue and fantastic performances. It's the kind of movie I want out of Soderbergh, and he mostly delivered on it. However, I can't ignore the movie's blatant flaws. That they can kind of take you out of the fun if you really pay attention to them. The script, from a story standpoint, is an absolute mess. At first, the plot is moving in a way that is gripping and keeps you guessing on what is going to happen next. Very edge of your seat and just what the movie needed. However, by the 2/3 mark, everything just became too convoluted and kind of caught up in its own web of backstabbing, betrayals, and different twists within the story. And by the end, it felt like I could barely follow what was actually going on. If the script had been heavily revised and a few subplots were cut, this movie would have been 10 times better. And the movie really loses steam by the end of it. For obvious reasons, I won't spoil what happened here, but at that point, too many plot threads had been introduced, and the final payoff just bore absolutely no weight. Even if I can't quite say it was terrible, the plot of the film just became way too cluttered, and the ending was left feeling underwhelming. No Sudden Move is a major step in the right direction for Soderbergh. Entertaining, sharp, fast-moving. This is bread and butter, and it shows that he can still pull it off very well. However, the pacing issues towards the end and completely jumbled plot really bogged down this one for me. I debated back and forth on what grade I should give this one. I want to rate it higher because of how much I truly enjoyed myself watching it and how thoroughly entertained I was. My brain keeps telling me to rate it lower for all the obvious weak points it has. So for right now, I'm going to give No Sudden Move a very strong B and leave it at that. However, this rating is very subject to change. I've thought about giving it a B+, an A-, and I've also thought about giving it an A-. So, my thoughts are all over the place on this movie. For right now, strong B, but again, that could change.